The Ryan Gosling Star Wars news, frankly, is weird. It's weird, and I don't understand it. Couple of reasons why it's weird. Number one, this isn't really what Star Wars does. Star Wars is very famous for casting unknowns. Unknown actors. Okay? The most well-known actor that was ever in Star Wars was Harrison Ford, and George didn't even want him to be Han Solo. Okay? The only reason he did is because he had him doing all this reading with all these other actors, and he was like, damn, he is pretty good at this shit. Okay, fine. Okay, fine, Harrison. You can be Han Solo, but everybody else shut the fuck up. That's George's style, baby. And the whole idea of casting unknowns is so that you don't see the actor, so that you just see the character. Star Wars is this like immersive space opera fantasy thing, and you need as few barriers to entry as is possible. Anything that breaks that illusion, it hurts the overall feeling and the vibe of Star Wars. So it's not a thing to go after really well-known actors for Star Wars. Maybe Natalie Portman is an example of doing, Sam Jackson potentially as Mace Windu. Like, he bends the rules a little bit in the prequels with that sort of stuff. But by and large, the casting of Jake Lloyd, even Hayden Christensen, these are unknown actors. This is important for Star Wars overall. So it's weird, right? It's weird that Star Wars is not just not doing that. It's not as though Ryan Gosling is simply an unknown or, even moderately known actor. He's one of the most famous actors on the planet. He's incredibly famous. He was Ken. He's done all kinds of fucking movies and, even advertisements and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, would you say maybe at the peak of his popularity in general right now? I mean, Gosling is, he's a very popular guy. So that's the first reason that this is weird. Okay. Second reason this is weird, Alec Guinness. I don't know who Alec is. I don't know why he liked Guinness. Everybody shut up. You don't have to try to prove everything I say wrong in chat. Oh my God, I'm ending this stream. I'm going to crash the fuck out. So the point is, Star Wars doesn't cast well-known people ever. There's no examples of them doing this ever. Nobody knew who Sam Jackson was before he was Mace Windu. Alec McGuinness, who the hell is even that? Nobody knew back then. Nobody knows today. We only know Obi-Wan Kenobi, so shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Second point. Gosling is also not just maybe one of the most famous actors ever. Goss is also a comedic actor mostly. Now, he's done some serious roles. I actually like his serious stuff, like Drive's really cool. He had a great turn in the Denis Villeneuve cyberpunk movie. He's done some serious roles, but like, The Other Guys, Ken, he's mostly known as a comedic actor, even in The Fall Guy or whatever. Like, he's a comedic actor, I think, first. And so it's quite weird that not only are you going to have the lead of this movie be an incredibly famous actor, but he's also most known as Ken, and he's most known for comedic acting. Okay? On top of all of that, the timing of this whole thing, it further confuses me. So what is this movie? We've heard there's maybe trilogy cooking with Rey being an Obi-Wan figure and, younger generation of Jedi or something like that, right? They've got plans for Filoni stuff during the era before the sequels. They have like 25,000 years ago with Mangold. If this film is really after the sequels with Rey, what the hell are they doing? Is Ryan Gosling really going to stick around in this role? Is he going to be in this film and then potentially in the trilogy afterwards? If he's a person that turns to the dark side, like potentially maybe a former student of Rey, right? And he goes to the dark side or something like that, and she has to like fight him, Is he going to continue to do that after this movie? Could you see Ryan Gosling sticking around for like a whole trilogy of films? Like, one thought I had when I was thinking about this was like, so wait a minute. What if he's a student of Rey and this movie's a baton passing of Rey to him, and then it's just Ryan fucking Gosling as the new Obi-Wan of the next trilogy of Star Wars? That doesn't make any sense. Like, that would be so weird. It feels like this movie is supposed to set up a new status quo. Right? It's supposed to set up a new status quo of what the galaxy looks like. Who's winning between the light and the dark side? What's the status of the Jedi? What's the status of the Sith? What's the status of like the Empire? What's the status of the Republic? I mean, it seems like Kennedy's obsessed with doing this. The Charmin Obey-Chinoy was also described as a standalone film. Might now be changing to a part of the trilogy, maybe not. But it was similar in its conception. And remember that Damon Lindelof's version of that movie was going to be an older Rey. So there's going to be a time skip, a time jump, and then you've got older Rey, and you have Rey in her old age dealing with like Jedi or trying to finally pass on the knowledge of the Jedi to then have a new trilogy with new characters or something like that. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And I just don't understand. Like, Ryan Gosling? That's your big play, Star Wars? That's your big play. Ryan Gosling? And again, like I said, it's so weird to have like a really, really well-known actor in a starring role in a Star Wars movie. That doesn't usually happen. And so the way I think about this, man, is like this feels a little bit like flailing again, right? It feels like maybe somebody at the studio is saying, okay, obviously Charmin Obey-Chinoy, Daisy Ridley coming back, that didn't really pop, you know? We still want to rehabilitate that character. We still want to put that character into a new status. And we've spent all this money developing Rey. We want to carry that over as an asset and everything, right? So it didn't work when we just talked about Rey and Charmin. Okay, well, Sean Levy, like, you can feel like the Kathleen Kennedy reverse engineering and the calculus here, and I hate it. Because she's like, okay, let's get the guy that just did Deadpool and Wolverine. People like Deadpool, so let's get the guy that just did Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh, let's get Ken. People liked Barbie. Let's get Ken. You put those two things together, that's got to do it for him. That's got to be lit. Put that in the Hollywood trades. Yeah, let's leak that. The next Star Wars, we know what we're doing over here. Don't worry about the 17 projects that haven't been developed. Don't worry about the rumors of like 16 more films with Daisy Ridley. Don't worry about leaked insiders saying 2 months ago that Daisy Ridley's the most valuable asset that Star Wars has. We've got Ken and the Deadpool director. You nerds got to get excited for that shit. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like they're flailing. It feels like they're not confident that Star Wars of itself is going to be enough to get people excited about it. The reality is, it's what they have done to Star Wars and what Star Wars is currently doing. What Star Wars has become, that's what people are not excited about. And if they think that friggin' Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy will be hyped up enough to overcome all of the damage and stuff that they have happened and attract people to the Star Wars brand in a way that we have never attempted to attract people to Star Wars. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. It feels weird, dude. Like, this news feels weird. Like, are people excited about this? Like, are you excited about this? Should I be excited about this? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I gotta say, I'm just gonna say it again. The news feels really weird. Now, the last thing I'll say on this is, like, it's important to keep in mind that the Hollywood trades and the Hollywood studios will often leak things in order to assess how the fans feel about it, what's the fan reaction, et cetera, et cetera. And so in the spirit of that, I'm going to now elicit some advice to Disney and Lucasfilm. Don't leak any more shit. Don't announce anything else. Don't talk about any goddamn thing until Kathleen Kennedy has left Lucasfilm. Until there's new leadership and potentially a new way of doing things over there, none of this stuff is going to connect. Like, just none of it is. And even the aspect of like this movie going away from the Skywalkers, right? Like, I had some conversation with people about this news last night. Some people are like, thank God, let's get away from the Skywalkers. Some people are like, what the fuck? The Skywalkers are Star Wars. What are you doing? It's the state of things is so divided. It's been so broken. It's so fucked up that anything you announce right now before Kathleen Kennedy leaves will feel like an extension of the goobly glob that has been going on for years. You know what the number one reaction to this news was yesterday on Twitter? I'm sure you can guess it. Chat, what do you think the number one reaction to this news was yesterday on social media? What do you think? The number one reaction I saw, and I saw this reaction over and over and over again, was, I'll believe it when I see it. I will not believe that any Star Wars movie is happening. I will not get excited or even speculate about any Star Wars news because it's probably not going to happen. And that's the like mild version of that take. And that is swaths of people, all of them with their own opinions about Star Wars, their own personal connection to it, et cetera, et cetera. The fact is, Kathleen Kennedy has messed up so many times over and 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 over again that this news was majorly hit with like, yeah, that's probably just another one that'll get canceled. Whose fault is that? How are you going to explain that away, Kathleen? You want to bring up how good E.T. is? To explain away the tangible change that has happened to the people that are engaged with Star Wars news because you have failed over and over and over and over again to get a movie out. And that's the nice version of it. That's the nice version of what I'm saying. Right? So I see a cultural shift happening at Star Wars. This news feels indicative of like new strategies and flailing, grasping at straws, desperately trying to figure out a way to generate excitement, hype, and buzz. And again, my advice is don't do any of this until after Kathleen is gone. If once Kathleen is gone, like literally, you'll have all these people basically being like, well, now that it's not Kathleen Kennedy, maybe this movie will actually happening. Isn't that nice? Like, hey, studio person. Hey, person that works with the studio at the Hollywood Trades. Wouldn't it be nice if you released this information and people were like, oh, wow, that's a thing that's going to happen. And now I have opinion about it. Instead of like, yeah, well, Kathleen Kennedy never makes these fucking movies. I'll believe it when I see it. Like, just at a base level, you got to understand that that's what's going on. So, overall, this news is weird, man. Weird. What do you guys think of it? What do you think of this? Do you agree that it's weird? What are your thoughts, comments, concerns?